Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final episode of season 2 of the podcast. This episode will be a little bit different as I'll be answering your questions. I asked you all on our socials and in our Slack what you'd like me to answer, and this will be that. Before I get into them, we will be taking a little break over the summer and then we'll be back for season 3. In the meantime, if you're enjoying this, please make sure to like and subscribe and maybe even leave a little review. It really does help other people find us. Okay, let's get started. So we had some amazing questions come in, and I will be going through as many as I can in today's episode. Okay, so the first question, do I have to have written any code before attending? This is such a good question, and the answer is no. You do not have to have written any code before attending a codebar workshop. There is actually an option when you sign up that says, I don't know, I'm a complete beginner. And what will happen is during the workshop, when you arrive, someone will ask you and have a discussion, and hopefully that will allow you to decide what it is that you want to work on in that workshop. But the answer is no, you do not have to have written any code before attending one of our workshops. Okay, the next question that came in, what type of things will I work on during your workshops? Okay, so the way our workshops run is if you're a student, you sign up and tell us what you want help with. You could pick one of our tutorials. So if you go onto our website, you'll see that we have some tutorials that we've written that are all open source. And there are a bunch of HTML and CSS, some JavaScript, some Ruby and some Python. You can pick one of those, or you can bring a personal project. You can also bring another online tutorial, say if you're doing Code Wars or some other kata, and you can get help with that. And then coaches sign up and say what they can help with. And then at the workshop, our organisers will pair students and coaches 1-to-1, sometimes 2-to-1 if they're working on the same thing. And then that's how they work. So you can essentially come to our workshops and get help with anything that you want. I hope that helps there. Okay, another question that came in. This one actually came in on our Instagram when I put out a story with one of those, little boxes. This question is, I like the workshops, but I actually feel like I need something a bit more structured. Is this something that you offer? This is such a good question. And we know that sometimes the format of our workshops are a bit too loosey-goosey for some people, and we totally get that some people want a bit more structure. And that is why earlier on this year we launched something called codebar courses, which is something new that we're working with, but essentially this is more structured learning, and they are multiple week curriculums that you will follow. The first one we did in this summer was called AI Fundamentals, and it was an 8-week course, and we're really hoping to do more of these. We'd love to run more of the AI ones. We have a data science one that we'd love to run. We have a React one and also a much shorter Git one. However, in order to keep these free, which for me is always my number one goal at codebar, we need them funded, whether that is through a corporate funder that funds these or a grant. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm trying to get funding in order to run another one of these so that it can be free. We try to keep these cohorts small. So the AI one that we ran in the summer, we kept it to 25 people so that we can really give people as much support as possible. I know when Charlene did it, she ran multiple 1-to-1s every single week, and that is what we really want to do. We want to help people, and that is why we can only run them if we get funding. And to clarify, these are not replacing our workshops. Our workshops will remain and continue to run. These are an addition. So you can do both at the same time. You can do the workshops, whether it's in person or virtual, and then you can also do one of the courses as well. And the courses, like I say, there's a curriculum, there are weekly sessions, and you will get a certificate at the end. So hopefully we can run more. Do keep an eye, if we're able to run another one, you will know via our newsletter, in our Slack and on our socials as well. And like I say, I really hope to run another one of these because we really enjoyed it. The feedback that we got was amazing as well. And so yeah, hopefully we can get funding to run another one. So watch this space. So the next question, this one came in our Slack channel. And this was thoughts on AI when learning to code. This is such a good question. And it's something that I get asked quite a lot, my thoughts on AI. And I always kind of find it a bit difficult to answer because I know lots of people have lots of thoughts and opinions on it. But my opinion, and this is very much my opinion, so, I'm going to caveat it with this. My opinion is that AI is here, and we cannot ignore it, and therefore we need to embrace it. Tech is one of those industries that is forever changing, and AI is now one of those things that is part of our industry. However, in order to learn coding, you still need to understand the fundamentals and you still need to know what it's doing. So you can use some code editor, to tell it what to do. You could be using Copilot, Claude, one of these things, but you still need to understand what it's doing. And so my opinion on this is that it is still so, so important to learn coding and learn the fundamentals, because even if you're telling, your Copilot, whatever, what to do, you still need to understand it. And so that's where I stand on it. We can't ignore it because it is here and it is changing. And, like I say, tech is one of those industries that's changing, but it is still so, so important to learn the fundamentals and learn programming, and it is fun. I think that's a part that we sometimes forget, is that learning to code is fun. And it is one of those industries that if you're joining the industry, it is forever changing and you have to enjoy learning. Like, it is changing. And so, yeah, I think it is still so important to learn the fundamentals if you want to, if this is the industry you want to go into, but use it because, yeah, we can't ignore it. It is here and we need to embrace it. So hopefully that helps and gives you a bit of a clearer idea. But like I say, so many people will have lots of different opinions, and I think it's important to listen to those opinions. That will help you come to your own conclusion, whether it's reading books, listening to podcasts, speaking to people, networking, watching talks, listening to talks. Yeah, it is here to stay, so we can't ignore it, but we can still learn the fundamentals. That's my thoughts on it, and learn it ethically as well. That's a big part of our AI fundamentals course that I spoke about, in my previous answer around AI courses, is that, there is also an ethical way to use AI, and that's a big part of what we teach in the course, because as we know, data can be biased, and, AI engines are built by people and people can be biased. So learning it and using it ethically is very important. I hope that answers that person's question. I'm enjoying this format. It's different. It's a bit different, which I'm enjoying. This question has come in from someone who's interested in coaching, which I think is a really nice question to answer. They've said, I'd like to coach, but I'm nervous. Any advice for a first-time coach? Now, this is actually one of my favorite conversations to have with people, and I think it's actually so important. And I will caveat this answer by saying I think some of the best coaches at codebar are junior developers or, or people who are new to the industry. So I think the first thing I will say is it's totally normal to be nervous, and nerves are okay. You can use nerves to your power. I always say to people when it comes to nerves or, those butterflies in your tummy, is that it shows that you care. And we're humans, we're not bots, we're not the internet, and therefore we have emotions. And so it's a good thing, it shows you care. But my biggest bit of advice for anyone coaching, whether you're a new or an old coach at codebar, a veteran coach, is that if someone asks you a question, regardless of whether you know the answer, is show them how you would work it out, because that is such a valuable skill to learn. It is much better to show someone how you would work it out and go through that process together than just giving them the answer. There's that very famous phrase, teach a man, teach a man to fish and they'll, no, what's the phrase? Teach a man to fish and they'll give a man a fish and he'll eat. Show a man to fish and he'll continue eating forever. Something like that. Anyway, I think you know what I mean. But, showing someone how to work something out is a much more valuable skill that you can give someone. And therefore, that could hopefully help with some of those nerves. Because I think something that people get really nervous about is what happens if someone asks me a question and I don't know the answer. And that kind of solves this problem, because whatever they ask you, you can say, okay, let's work it out together. And actually, therefore, that student will never know whether you know the answer or not because you'll be showing them how to work it out. And so that I think is actually a really important thing to always do. But generally, I think it's completely normal to be nervous. We have a really, really lovely Slack channel in our Slack that's for coaches. And so, you could pop a question in there to say to people, it's your first time coaching. Does anyone have any advice? But, it is nervous. But another thing I would say actually is one thing you could do is you can look through our tutorials online and then only teach something that's in one of those tutorials. So, when you sign up as a coach, we ask you what you want to help with, and we'll also ask you for a little note. So what you could say is you could say, I'd only like to teach, I'd only like to be paired with someone who's doing one of the codebar tutorials. So you could look through them beforehand, really familiarize yourself. So therefore you're not going into it in the unknown. And you could do that for the first few times, maybe 3, 4, 5 times until you get a bit more comfortable. And then, you could start to expand out. And, you could email the chapter organizers before as well to say this is something that you want to do, or you can add it in a note. We will always know that it's someone's first time at codebar, whether they're a student or a coach, because in our admin area, there'll be a tiny little paw print icon next to someone's name. And it was a little thing we added just to tell the organisers and us that this was someone's first time so that we can, maybe ask them some questions or support them a little bit more. But it is completely normal to be nervous. Do not worry. I remember once having this conversation. I won't say who they are, but they are a very experienced developer. They're quite famous in some of the rounds in tech. They're a very avid public speaker. They have a blog, they have tutorials, blah blah blah. And even I remember they said to me, "I'm really nervous coaching." And it's normal. And then they said to me, please, please, please do not pair me with anyone doing CSS. Please only pair me with someone doing JavaScript, because that was what they felt comfortable doing. So that's just to show you that you can be an extremely experienced developer. You can have a blog, you can public speak, you can be a senior and still be nervous coaching. So it is completely normal. Do not worry. It shows that you care and it shows that you're passionate. But it's a wonderful thing to do, coaching. Every single person I know who has ever coached at, a community thing, whether it is codebar or Code Your Future or, one of these other ones, they have always said, it makes me a better developer. Because one of the skills that you learn from coaching is communication. And also communication in terms of like explaining technical concepts, because everyone learns in a different way. And so you'll learn how to explain that same thing in multiple different ways to different people. And that is a really, really valuable skill to have. So yeah, I hope that helps this person. Coaching, like I say, is such a valuable thing. If there's anything else that you want answered around coaching, you can comment, can drop us an email. We can try to help you as much as possible. I know Charlene has created a really, really wonderful codebar coach guide that's really worth going through. And so please do check that out. You can find that on our website. And yeah, and just have a good time. Coaching is a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So yeah, have fun. This ended up being a very long answer, but it's something that I care a lot about. So another question I got. I love this question. It's a very wild card question. And someone just said, "What is your favorite animal?" Do you know what? When I was growing up, my favorite animal was a dolphin. I don't know why it was a dolphin. I remember having like some posters of dolphins in my bedroom and just having like it's a very 90s thing to have those like ceramic like figurine type things in your bedroom. But now, do you know what? I don't think I have a favorite animal at the moment. I have animals that I really like. Like, I'm very much like a dog person. I think elephants are like beautiful. I think giraffes are like really majestic and amazing. I love the life that like a sloth has, which is just like really laid back and just sleeps a lot of the day. So, but yeah, I don't really have a favorite animal at the moment, but yeah, I do have animals that I like. I love how random that question was. More of those, please. Okay, our next question is, do you run workshops virtually? And the answer is yes. Yes, we do. So actually, this is probably one of the biggest positives for us that came out of 2020, COVID, is that prior to 2020, we were very location dependent. You know, you could only attend our workshops if you were in one of our locations, and we didn't run anything virtually or online. And then obviously the pandemic hit, all of our workshops basically stopped, and we went 100% virtual. Now we run both. So we have these dedicated virtual chapters that you can sign up to, subscribe to, and that's where we run virtual. So we have a virtual UK, we have a virtual East Asia, we have a virtual Central Europe, and these are now our dedicated virtual hubs where you can sign up. And it's exactly the same format as it is in person. You know, you sign up, say what you want help with, we will pair you with a coach. These workshops all happen on Discord, and then on the day, the organisers will pair you together. You will go into one of the Discord rooms with your coach, and then you will still get that one-to-one, maybe two-to-one support. And we're trying to do more of these. You know, we really, really understand the value of virtual workshops. And we also do lots of like one-off events as well. So if you're subscribed to one of these chapters, you'll see that we do sometimes these one-off sessions that are, you know, sometimes lunch and learns that are also really important for us. Those events really focus on what I call the career side of codebar. So not just the coding element, but the stuff that really helps you transition into tech. So one we did recently was we partnered with a company called Agile Goes Ape. And this session was all on agile methodologies. Because what you'll find is when you enter the tech industry, you will hear words like agile, like scrum, like stand up, retros, sprints. And if you've never been in tech before, those words are so alien. You know, if someone says to me the word stand up, I will think of stand up comedy. But actually in tech, that's a morning thing that happens in tech teams. And so we really, really want to try and break down and make that transition into tech much, much easier. So we do lots of those events as well. And those events are all virtual. And we also record them and upload them to our YouTube. We have a very active YouTube channel that now has over 200 videos on of stuff that we've been recording over the last couple of years. And on there is things from panels, career panels, technical workshops, talks, deep dive technical workshops, you know, video versions of this podcast. And so I do recommend checking that out. But yes, this is a very long answer to say that we do lots of virtual workshops. So like I say, when you sign up, if you subscribe to one of those chapters, you will receive email invites whenever the organisers send them out. If there's any more, you know, one of the things we really want to try and do is we'd love to expand codebar. So if you look on there and you're like, oh, you know, I'm in somewhere in America, Central America, you know, East America, West, somewhere like that, and workshops aren't happening in your time zone, please do drop us an email, because one of the things we really like doing is starting new chapters, launching new chapters. So if that's something that interests you, please do drop us an email. We'd love to have that conversation. But yes, we do run virtual workshops and events. Okay, I think that's all the questions that I got sent in from our wonderful, wonderful community. Thank you so much for sending in your questions. I've really enjoyed doing this episode and this format. You know, I wanted to do something slightly different for this final episode of season 2. So thank you so much for sending in all your wonderful questions. I hope they were really, really helpful. And I hope you have enjoyed this season. I love doing this podcast. I love chatting to people. I love inviting people on and hearing their stories and chatting with them. And so I really hope it's helped you as well. So yes, whilst we take the summer break, we will see you in a few months for season 3. Thank you so much, everyone.